I'll be telling you using the 5 element how to know what is balance, what is imbalance, because it's important for every one of us in this room to know what is normal, right? So when we say normal, mean this is how things should be. And then when things are not like what it should be, then this is called imbalance. Simple, simple concept to remember. So we need to know what is normal. And when it's normal, it's called balance. And anything that looks abnormal already, that's imbalance. I'll explain more. Don't worry. Okay. So now that we have explored the nature of each element, let's look at how they interact. Because in the real world, we know nothing exists in isolation. So the 5 elements work together like an ecosystem. Now, when the 5 element ecosystem is balanced, I use the word balance again, the body functions smoothly. So when imbalance, system and illness show up, so I already mentioned that. So for that, we need to understand the ecosystem. And I think most of you already know the relationship between the 5 elements, but just bear with me because now we are relearning the 5 element relationship from the angle of healthy living, from the angle of wellness. Okay, so listen to me with a growth mindset. Number 1, generating cycle, in Chinese called 相生. That means supporting and nurturing. This is a promoting relationship where each element give rise to the next. Or we can also say the mother element give rise to the child element. Example, we can talk about wood energy, okay, fueling the fire, and then tree burn to create the heat. Example, okay. So wood is the mother and the fire is the child, right? This kind of relationship, so on and so forth, and then fire will give birth to earth. So fire now become the mother, earth become the child, and then earth will give birth to matter. So now earth is the mother, matter is the child, and then matter will give birth to water. So matter is the mother, water is the child, and then lastly water give birth to wood. So water is the mother, wood is the child, and then this cycle will go on and on. So this is called generating cycle or production cycle, 相生. Now, let's talk about another cycle called the controlling cycle. Okay, controlling cycle in Chinese called 相克. So this is a bit different from what we used to understand from I Ching Feng Shui and I Ching prediction. Because I know in I Ching prediction and I Ching Feng Shui, we don't want to be 克, we don't want to be attacked, we don't want to be controlled. But in healthy living, in wellness, we want some form of control, we want some form of restraint, so that each individual organ's system will not become rebellious. That's like a society. If we have a well-maintained police force, then the society law and order can be maintained. So we need some kind of check and balance. Okay, so that is called controlling cycle. Now let me explain the controlling cycle. This cycle represents healthy regulation, where one element controls another to maintain balance and order. How it goes about? Wood will restrain the earth. Let me use the word restrain now. Okay, not attack, not control, but restrain. Restrain means you see a policeman, you know you cannot anyhow litter. That's called restrain already. Okay, so restrain. Then earth will restrain water. Water will restrain fire. fire will restrain matter, and matter restrain wood, so on, so forth. So this is called controlling cycle. And we need a good controlling cycle to be balanced. Now I use the word balance. Okay. So we need, let me repeat. We need this one. We need a generating cycle to keep on generating. Wood to fire, fire to earth, earth to metal, metal to water, water to wood in this cycle, in this cycle. Then we have balance. And not only that, we also need these controlling cycles to be working well also. So if these two is working well, then we have balance. Let me dig further. Let's move from theory into practice. How do physicians actually use the 5 elements to understand illness and then prescribe treatments? In traditional Chinese medicine, we don't just look at symptoms, we match them to the 5 elements. Simple as that. So, for example, someone gets angry very easily. Okay. And perhaps maybe also have tight tendons, tendons, jing. Okay. So we know anger, okay, get angry very easily, wood energy, and then very tight tendons here. Straight away, we know this is wood energy, has something to do with wood energies. As easy as this. That means if you want to narrow down your where should you look at, where should you troubleshoot, and then design some kind of prevention measures, all go back to the 5 element. And then from there you find that, okay, so anger is wood, tendon is wood, so therefore if anything it should be the wood. So perhaps your tight tendon may be a result of your anger. Why? Because too much anger will hurt the liver, the wood energy, and because the wood energy is being hurt, so therefore it may affect your tendon. So to resolve this tendon issue, you may have to be less angry. It come in this way sometimes, but we need to narrow down the cause and then troubleshoot. But we are not troubleshooting in the blind because we have this ancient wisdom to guide us. Another example, let me clear the ink. If someone has digestive issue and chronic fatigue, now digestive issue, what element? Type in the chat. Digestive issue. Spleen. Thank you, Jay. Spleen. So it's earth energy. Philip, thank you. Earth. So therefore, from the symptom, we look back at this chart, we already know, okay, so it may be something to do with the earth energy. And it could be spleen or it could be stomach. So usually we look at the husband and wife pair. Or we look at spleen, we must also look at the stomach. And we look at the stomach, we must also look at the spleen. It's always the yin yang pair that we look at. Why? It's because husband and wife. Imagine husband and wife, if the wife is sick, the husband will also be worried. Okay? So vice versa. So we always look at the husband and wife pair. Question so far. We also track how organs affect one another. Now that we know this generating cycle, then we can use it to track how organs affect one another. Like how a weak spleen, which is a weak earth, will fail to nourish the metal. And metal is the lung. Okay? So earth fails to generate the metal. So 土不生金 in Chinese is called. So which may show up as weak immunity or coughing. So in this case, coughing, although we say coughing is lung, but the cause may not be the lung itself. It is as a result of a weak spleen. So if you want to cure, not say cure, I don't use the word cure, sorry, because this is not about curing, it's not for diagnosis, it's just for educational purpose. So therefore, if you want to know how to troubleshoot this, then you may want to take a good look at the spleen. For example, is your appetite good or not? Something like that. Okay, you say, oh, my appetite, okay leh. I eat a lot lah. So it's like normal. So then may not be spleen already. But if you say, no appetite, no appetite, okay, so therefore it could be spleen. The earth could be very weak. So therefore we need to go and do something with the earth energy first. And once you clear away this earth energy, that means support this earth to be strong, the matter will naturally be strong again. So Darren is saying there arise more and more mental health. Can we say more possible issues coming from water and earth? Okay, good point. Now, mental health is more of the sun. Just now, remember I talk about the sun and the sing. You must take care. That means the body and the mental, the emotion and the mental part we must take care. Is because a lot of time we are overstimulated. That's one thing. Overstimulated. Second thing, you know how many meridians actually go up to our brain? In case you're wondering, how many meridians go up to the brain? We have 12 altogether, 12 meridians. But out of these 12, how many actually go up to the brain? Not all, but more than half. More than half. So what it means, and every meridian is actually carrying the needed energy to the brain to function. Now imagine, let's say there are 6 meridians going up to the brain, 3 are not working. You only have 50% functioning brain. You get my point? And sometimes because of that, you may have a lot of migraine, headache, and things like that. So you must know which three meridian is not working, and therefore do something about the 3 meridians. So to restore balance. Okay, so we can't really tell whether it's coming from water or earth. We need to do more troubleshooting in this case. Understand, Darren? Okay, more example here. If you are feeling angry, now angry, what energy? Wood energy, angry. And what do you do? Usually when you're very angry and you know you're very angry and you want to calm yourself down, what do you do? Or you see somebody very, very, very angry, and if you want to cool him down, what do you tell him to do? Thank you, Jay. Deep breathing. Now, what are we activating? What energy are we activating with deep breathing? Metal energy. And what can metal energy do to the wood energy? To the runaway wood energy. That means anger. Control, restrain. You see how we have been using this 5-element dynamic all this while without really knowing what it means to us in terms of healthy wellness. It's very natural for us to say, okay, you want to come down, take a deep breath, because we are exercising the metal energy strong enough to go and restrain this runaway wood energy. Hopefully can restrain, because that will depend on whether how strong is your metal energy and how runaway energy is the wood energy. So we need to go and measure that also. Okay, so but naturally, typically, most people will use the breathing technique. That means activate the metal energy to restrain the wood. This is called reclaiming the balance. Now, what happens when balance breaks? Now, when one element becomes too strong or too weak, it leads to imbalance. Simple as that. Just now we are asking, right, how to know it's balance, not balance. So when one element becomes too strong or too weak, it is called imbalance already. And when it's imbalance, all sort of illness will come in already. Another example. Now, we know policemen in Singapore do a good job in maintaining law and order in Singapore, right? Now, have you seen countries, examples, USA right now? They are using military to come into a state to maintain law and order. So there's too much, okay? Too much of a controller, right? When that controller become too strong or overdo their job, this is imbalance really, because one element get too strong. Example. Now, you talk about anger. We talk about anger, okay? Angry, wood energy again. Because you feel so angry until your face turn red, then you must be activating this wood energy so much so that it become a runaway energy. And when it become a runaway energy, before you know, it will go and attack the downstream. And who's the downstream? It is the earth energy, which is translated into digestion. So have you seen a lot of people saying that, oh, I'm now so angry until I got no more appetite to eat my meal? Yeah, this is exactly what happened, because too strong wood energy overacting on the earth energy, and that will lead to losing of appetite straight away. So you want to bring back balance, introduce matter, exercise restraint, deep breathing. Okay. So that's how we talk about this, right? So the next time you ever felt chest tightness or shortness of breath under anger, that is your liver overacting on lung. Okay, so the 5 elements teach us how to observe, how to understand, and how to rebalance in health, in emotion, and in nature. Okay, another problem about using fire, since paper is asking about this fire, is that anger or this wood energy, or we call it liver wood, is too, in Chinese it's called 死, is too full. Okay, it's too full. Because anger too full until it cannot be released. It cannot be released. And if it cannot be released, not only digestion may suffer, fire may also suffer. That's why, have you seen people too angry until got heart attack? It's because the liver is too full and cannot release, and therefore nothing goes to the fire. Suddenly there's a vacuum in the fire energy. Collapse straight away. Heart attack or cardiac arrest. It may happen in this way, okay? Because everyone's body condition is different. But by and large, this is how the relationship works. I will go deeper into this part here, the relationship part, because it's important. It's important. So how do we restore balance?